Welcome to the Wizard of Cause, your go-to podcast for social impact, where we speak to innovative businesses, how they give, and of course, the charities that they love and inspire them. Now, whether you're an entrepreneur, a startup founder, or a business professional looking to stay ahead of the curve, the Wizard will show you how to build lasting social impact on the world. Are you ready to grow, give, and be inspired? Let's get started.
Hey, are you looking to scale your business from 5 figures to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures? If you are, I have the perfect thing for you. What I want you to do today is I want you to go download a book. This book is going to take you through my 3-pillar system. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to growfast.cash. I say again, go to growfast.cash, and you're going to be able to download my free international best-selling book, which is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. You can take that book. It's going to help you scale your business to the next level. Again, go download it. Be good, be brief, be gone. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. Enjoy.
So today I have with me Anthony Perez, right? Or as we like to call him, Anthony the Fashionable, Dapper Dan himself. You got to see him at his trade shows. I covet his tailor. He's a man of great warmth and emotional wealth that he gives to people. He always is striving not for a win-win. He wants a win-win-win, right? The regular win-win isn't enough for him. He's done so many pieces that I cannot read you his resume because either it would take too long or you would say only comic book characters have this story, in the background. Are we talking about Anthony or are we talking about Bruce Wayne? But this is Anthony himself. I got to meet Anthony about a year and a half ago. And I was completely amazed at everything he had done. I want to jump in. He had written a book we're going to talk about too for a second. But first, before I even get into that, let me just say, Anthony, thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you, Will, for extending the invitation. I feel honored. The feeling's mutual, getting to know you more and more. So thank you.
One of the things that we had been on here, I've been talking with some of our guys in the background. Every once in a while, when I tell somebody, our group has had 15 million impressions in the last 90 days. It intimidates people, but Anthony is already so out there. It's already talking to so many people. His Rolodex, and that is not a watch for the kids watching. His database of people he talks to is immense. But I was talking to some of our own people, and Anthony blows up our channel, right? When we get in there, when we're talking to him, don't let me talk about you in third person. Anthony, you blow up our channel. But I got to dive in here because if not, we'd be here a day and a half. So
sure.
You always focus in the space of leadership, right? Specifically, influence. Yeah. Now, this is a broad-ranging thing, but without us going to lunch and having a beer and talking about it for the next hour and a half, I mean, how did you get there, and why did that develop your passion of influence?
My grandfather mentored me from afar. It wasn't a case of this is how you do it, right? It was old school, World War II generation.
Oh, yes.
He never showed hey, let me show you. Let me explain. Let me teach you. It was through observation, right?
Amen. Amen.
Right, and it was being an example. And he ran the Legion. I used to hang out with him, and we'd go for golf tournaments, and I'd see how he'd interact with people, and I'd see how he'd do things and how he would give for people. And I would also see his frustration, disappointment about people. The whole, sometimes, Anthony, when you need to get something done, you got to do it yourself. and he taught me work ethic and grind and just character. And you show up and you do these things, and you do it not just to get the job done. You do it so other people see they can rely on you, right? And they know that you're a guy that gets stuff done, right? And so when I got into the Navy, and I didn't, it was kind of through like osmosis, right? It didn't really come together till I got into business. But I went into the Navy, and like a lot of people, people are like, "Oh, did you learn leadership in the Navy?" No, I learned management. I learned a lot of things like how not to treat people. Okay. But when I got into financial services, I had two great mentors, Jay O'Mara and Mike Roten, and they both taught me not just about what a leader looks like, but what a good husband looks like, what a good father looks like, a good partner, a good man, like how you show up. And what I saw was they were in alignment. Like everything they taught in the office is what you see with them. The idea that if I followed you around for a day or an hour, what would I see? I'm the guy that picks up trash, right? I'm the person that will talk to everybody, regardless of who you are, right? I give you respect, right? I'm the guy today, I'm handing out sandwiches that were left over from yesterday's event to homeless people, right? I don't say that, I don't, ooh, he's so, no, it's just, I hold the door open, it's like those little things. Awesome. But I learned in business, your business is only as good as your people, and your people are only as good as how you make them feel. And regardless of the industries that you and I are in, because we deal with a lot of different people, there's one universal, one thing that we all share. We're all in the people business, and there's two guarantees in the people business: reward and disappointment. Right? And I learned that really fast. And
sometimes disappointment and reward. Right.
And it's not proportional.
Right.
But as the leader, you have to understand it's our job to minimize disappointment, right? And grow reward. You got to figure out how to get the best out of your people. And I feel that the first thing that you need to understand is you have to have a culture statement, right? When I work with companies and hotels, or I go in thinking, okay, there's your mission statement, there's your vision statement, fantastic. What's your culture statement? And they're like, well, what's that? Well, that's what holds it all together, right? That's what everything's based on. And we should have one in our own personal life, whether it's scripture, a song, a poem, or something you came up with. Mine is a quote. It's in my TED Talk from Vince Lombardi. Individual commitment to a group effort, that's what makes a team work. So I was saying that, servant leadership, emotional intelligence, I've been teaching that for 15 years. To me, that's my culture statement, because it reminds me, what's my individual commitment? As a leader, I have to consistently evaluate what my individual commitment is to you today and tomorrow. What do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? But more importantly, instill that mindset into my people, that when they're in it, that they're adopting that mindset. Okay, what's my individual commitment to the team? What's my individual commitment to my department? What's my individual commitment to myself, to my family? Instill that we're constantly evaluating when you're in a crossroads, when you're in a storm. Okay, stop, reset. What's my individual commitment right now? What needs to be done? And I believe it falls on accountability. If you don't know what you need, what you need to win in, you got to win in accountability. Why? Because increased accountability leads to increased credibility. When someone sees that you're trustworthy, that you're reliable, that grows your influence. And when you increase your influence, now we could talk about creating buy-in and belief, right? In order for me to get you to move for the best will or for the company, there's got to be buy-in and belief. And belief comes before buy-in. And now we could get into transformational and servant leadership. So that's my thing.
A natural lead-in. One, because when you're sitting there telling me this and accountability, I'm like, this has got his granddaddy's fingerprints all over it, right? I mean, that has got to an older guy in blue jeans sitting there going, no, Anthony, this is this way, right? But so, and you're half in the topic now. You did a TEDx on servant leadership. Now, I think I'm amazed by that. I think it's also a galvanizing title, right? Some people might actually be even chased off by it, but I love it. I love it. But servant leadership. I mean, let's face it. We all think we're the leader, but there's something from too many television shows. Bosses, they come there, they bark over people, jump. They don't
Mhm.
want leadership; they want bossership. But how do you jump into servant leadership? Was granddaddy the ultimate route to get into that
You know,
part?
looking back, yes, because he was a servant, right? I say in my TED talk, everybody wants to be a leader. Hey, you want to invest time and money and go to this leadership course? Yes, I do. Hey, you want to invest some time and money to go to this course and learn how to be a servant? No, no. But you don't understand. You, you can't lead without serving. All leaders do is serve. You look around the great leaders around the world and in history, they were servants. Right? People don't understand that a great servant leader is embracing vulnerability, reflection, sitting there and evaluating. If I'm at odds with somebody, right? I have to, I have to exhaust my resources and figure out how do we connect? How do I serve this person, right? They could be a nemesis, but we're in agreement. We need to work together for the greater good of a cause, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
have to figure out how to serve them so we could get to the ultimate destination, right? And I think sometimes people think, for I don't know why, but oh, servant leader, that's weak. Anybody that knows me knows I'm one thing I'm not is weak. I'll tell you, there's people that love Anthony Perez and say, man, he does a great thing in the community, and he's a good person. He lifts people up. He impacts people. He empowers people. The work that he does in the community as a family man, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, amazing. And for all the same attributes and character that they say I'm awesome, there are people out there that go, the guy's an asshole. Why? Because I hold myself and other people accountable. I follow
Right.
through, right? They say you're accountable and that's why you're awesome, because you hold people accountable, you follow through to make things happen. Then you got the people that are like, oh, you're micromanaging me. Oh, you're always, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, right. You got to look at the source. But I always find it interesting that, some people are like, oh, well, servant leadership, that, isn't it kind of weak or anything? No, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And it takes a lot to embrace vulnerability, but also win against mental and emotional fatigue, to stay focused on what's the main thing, and constantly know that, hey, what do I got to deliver for the company, for myself, but more importantly, how do I deliver for my people so we can achieve the goal and empower them when they want to be or not. Right. It's a constant, like, okay, how do I do better? Okay, this way's not working, let me open this door. Okay, that's not it. Okay, let me try this approach. Okay. Okay. Display and delay emotions, right?
I got to tell you, if somebody said, I think servant leadership is weak, or a weakness, I don't think I'd want to hang out with them. I mean, right? It's a literary reference, but they talk about the sword of Damocles. When you're the leader, it looks glossy, and you're up there, and you get a couple of accolades, but it's also hanging on your head. And I'll never forget that. I think it was like management, oversight, business school 101, and the first time they hit you with, well, the first rule they gave you was don't confuse movement with progress. that's that's incredible. But the second one was, by definition, when you're from the very bottom line, if you're one step back, you're getting your work done through somebody else. And if you push out all the way up to the CEO's office, there's nowhere left for it to go, right? It all falls on your head, on your shoulders. So if you can't work with your people, through your people, make it good for them, be the servant leader. I'm not sure where, you know. Well, we've all met those businesses that have massive turnover constantly, constantly. But giving a whole TEDx on it, I was inspired that somebody would take the time and to lay that out. Now, that's that that's its own unique thing.
Well, I think some of the principles definitely, I gave that years ago, and I thought it was relevant. I think it's relevant more now than because of post-pandemic, because multi-generational workforce and things have changed. I see so many times I experience it as a consumer, and being as a business owner, I have to remind people, hey, I own a business. This is crap, right? People do not own customer experience, right? Right? Apples to
Oh,
apples, right? Right? If I have a bad experience, I can find I can find this somewhere else.
amen. You're walking around the back of my head right now, and it's
So,
spooky.
so just understanding servant leadership, not just applying in my personal life, but in my professional life. Yes, applying it to increase employee engagement and retention. That's because if somebody's not happy, they don't care about going to the wall for customer experience and solving problems and making somebody feel really good. I had an experience with somebody that I was talking with somebody. They were not listening. They weren't even trying to resolve. It was my fault. My fault until I finally got the right lady. And she goes, I apologize. That is not how we do things. I've been here 30 years and we had a wonderful conversation. She resolved it. She actually put it in an email to upper management. And then I got a phone call. Why? Because the manager was just complacent being a manager and was just pushing numbers. And like you said, they weren't really listening to what the problem was. You got a customer unhappy, fix it. And all it was, hey man, just knock off $500 and do the right thing. That was it.
Anthony, I have some small clients. People sometimes call us and they say, "I know you don't do businesses of our size." That's their opening salvo. We're like, what are you talking about, right? But we have some larger clientele, and you've heard me say, right? 13 years ago, we brought in this big car dealership. They do, $1 million a month in credit
Right,
cards,
right.
and they give all this money now through the system to their charity. Now they do like in excess of 2 million, right? And that is their small source of income. I mean, they are not hurting in any way.
Right, right.
But I went out there once for a meeting, and that was a scheduled meeting, and they didn't know why I was there. They knew me, they knew my face, and I came in. I'm supposed to meet with so and so, and it was a calendar mix up. 9 different people came in and apologized to me. The big boss, I am so sorry, buddy. Time is valuable. I don't know how it happened. I'm like, Anthony, who cares, right? No big deal, right? I mean, these guys are in my hometown. His secretary came in. This woman had been there. They say they jokingly inherited her through, like, from the grandfather, because this business is a multi-generational.
Oh, I'd imagine.
He came in. 2 or 3 staff members, Mr. Black. It's Will. It's Will. My daddy is Mr. Black. It's Will. Y'all all. I'm so sorry. By the way, I think it was my fault. It might have been my calendar mix up. But every one of them, and I liked them up until till that time. I love them to this date because that is a company culture. That is some type of servant leadership. Every one of them felt the need to come in and take 15 seconds and say, Mr. Black, it's Will. Will, Mr. Black, right? They have trouble. I am so sorry. I don't know how it happened. I'm going to go. I don't want you to go find out how it happened. I'm here. I can come back tomorrow. Right? It's not. But they could have just blown that off. Hey, I'm sorry. Let's go do it or come back tomorrow. They didn't do it. Down to the lowest person on the totem pole. When I walked out, everybody, I am so sorry. We're going to make. It's no big deal.
Well, here's the thing, right? That's an example. Now put this.
Is that not impressive?
Totally.
What did they do with their staff? All their staff took ownership. They owned it, personalize it. And sir, I'm so sorry. I don't care. It's not a big
Well,
deal to me.
Looking to grow your business beyond 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures plus, what I want you to do is go download this book. The title is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. It will help you grow your business past 5, 6, and 7 figure. Go download the book today, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and download the book for absolutely free.
so I went back, right? I opened with the Vince Lombardi. Now think about that. Individual commitment to a group effort, right? That means how are you just found out about a situation, good, bad, or right? How are you responding? What's your individual commitment to it? There's a culture there that they all understood, hey, when this goes, you acknowledge it, you own it, you apologize, right? When I work with hotels, it's not about, oh, I'm sorry, and can I comp you for a drink? Here's a steak. Let me throw some money at the problem.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry that we didn't meet or exceed your expectations. We're going to go ahead and correct that and get your stay back on track right away.
Right.
Right? That's what someone wants. Now, if they go, oh, are you going to give me a drink? You going to comp me something? Okay, here. I sat down with the hotel. I was like, what's this line item? $35,000. Oh, that's our comps. In a month? How about just own it and fix it?
Right.
We started doing that, and they dropped down to like $9,000.
Every apology that made me just made me love these people more and more. It's like the 4th of July. I'm like, how important am I to them? They didn't come and bring me something. Here's a fruit basket. We're going to send you a birthday card. It's not a glitter thing. It's just, right. I'm like, oh my, how important is that? And I'm like, I know why you went from $1 million a month to in excess of $2 million a month, because of flat ownership like this.
Sure.
So it's less of a jump. Everything you do seems to have such an organic feel to it. And I always, now I'm always going to know that granddaddy's fingerprints are in there somewhere, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I can see it behind you. Professional durability.
Yeah.
And that's not about don't make a crappy product, right? It's like you're your own product.
Right. I was just gonna say,
don't be your own crappy product. And we're gonna have storms, and you even say it's right. It's withstanding the storm of change.
Yeah.
As one person said, the only thing that's always going to stay constant is that things are and are always going to change, right? It's not a little video game. We have to pivot. We have to move. Unpack professional durability for those that don't have that book right there behind you. And you're going to have, by the way, you're going to have to give me a link or something to that, because somebody said, yeah. I don't want to be that tree, right? That's but we all become that tree eventually.
Right. Well, so the idea came out of I was watching the Cubs go to the World Series. They were working towards it, right? And I started thinking about, like, as a lot of us do, why do some players become Hall of Famers and you wear their jerseys and some don't? How is it that some are just amazing athletes? I think I was thinking about the Oklahoma quarterback, Sam Bradford. Great quarterback, great talent. What was his challenge? Couldn't stay on the field, kept getting injured. So it was, in my mind, I'm like, what's the difference? The difference between the people. Can't speak today. It's not their athletic ability. They can run, they can swim, they can throw, whatever it is they have to do. It's their athletic durability. If you can't stay on the field and play the role, you're not doing anyone good. Okay, well, if that's true, which it is, how does that translate into business? Well, we all have people that have professional ability. We all can talk, how to send emails, how to go out and do things. We have professional ability. But you need to learn how to become professionally durable to withstand the storms of change. 80% of employees are disengaged, burnt out, and stressed. Change is constantly happening. AI is scaring the crap out of people. Because now they're like, is it going to, if you don't get on board, am I going to lose my job? And things are even going faster and faster, and it's overwhelming, and all the factors and the pandemic. And oh my God, here's the thing. You just went through a hurricane. I lived in Florida. I did 3, right? Here's what I know. You just kind of touched on it. This is what I know about Florida, right? January is coming, 2025.
Yeah.
It's not a question of, I wonder if there's going to be a hurricane this year. It's a given. It's not if, it's when, how many, how severe, what did I learn from the last one? Am I prepared to navigate through it if it happens? Right? How am I going to help people? Right? So that's where you got to be professionally durable to withstand the storm of change, because it's going to happen. We know that. And so my book just is a leadership lesson of things that I've learned over lifetime. How I've always taught, because it's always a story, right? I've always looked for personal observations, experiences, whether it's you sharing or me personally experiencing or dealing with something, and always trying to find, especially adversity, right? Okay, where's the leadership lesson? Where's the leadership? Because when I could teach, there's a story where it talks about, I'm comparing about working out, and that we all know that the most important part of working out, besides getting to the gym, is form, right? And form is very important, especially on those last reps, because that's where you're physically and emotionally fatigued, right? It's not the first or second rep, it's that 10th or 12th rep that you got to maintain your form, because that's where your body gets the most out of that exercise. Well, It's the same in communication and business, right? When you're stressed and overwhelmed, you got to maintain your form when you're communicating, when you're conveying your ideas, when things are coming at you left and right, and you're at a place where you don't know. I don't know, right? We've heard so many times, as a leader, you got to make a call. Many times I'm like, I don't know if it's the right call. It's the right call for right now, because we got to do something. Right. And maybe down the road, we'll evaluate it, because I always come up with this. I did a hotel move, and I had to take these 13 strangers and get them to work together to get this job done in 7 days. And I had one guy that everybody was complaining about. And I'm like, listen, what I'm telling you is everyone's got a role. I just haven't found his role yet. But when I do, I found his role. And everyone was like, yes. Like, all he did was take the plastic wrap, because it kept getting in the way, right? It was a problem for everybody. I'm like, hey man, come here. This is all you do. I just need you to go around and take all that plastic wrap and get it out. That's all he did. And he kept busy. And and the guys, he was an asset. They were loving him because they were getting stuff out of their feet, and they could do and they're like, everyone's got a role. I'm going to remember that, boss. I'm going to remember that.
Everybody's got a role.
Everyone's got a role. So yeah, I think, and more than ever, you said pivot, pandemic, right? I was able to pivot. I picked up a COVID response team for a school district. We're billing a school $25,000 to $32,000 a week, and I put 45 people to work that needed work. Ooh. Right? Win. How did I get that? Relationships. I knew that person that gave me the contract for like 7 years. We would just have lunch. I'd always put out, hey, speaking, what do you got? Nothing really. But then that opportunity was there. He's like, hey, we need somebody. You're a minority veteran-owned business. You're here local. Hey, boom, done deal, right?
You had your relationship established so that the moment it was, he knew exactly who he could call. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people don't, especially I've noticed younger generations. I want it now. Okay, well, sometimes now isn't a reality. You and I had a conversation beforehand. A contract gets signed when a contract gets signed. Right. I'm not pushing something to jeopardize a relationship over. When it gets done, it gets done. But in the meantime, are you creating value? I tell people all the time, you got to be seen as a solution to someone's problem. You got to be a resource to them. How are you constantly giving? If you constantly give, the law of reciprocity will kick in, right? But you got to constantly be out. So many people are like, hey, let me tell you about what I got. I don't give a shit what you got. I'm not looking to buy something. How are you helping me?
Right.
So.
Okay, so, and not to mention the old saying, if they like you, they'll find a way to buy from you, right?
Right,
I
absolutely.
find you're very likable.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so again, I've got to touch. I got to touch base a little bit on it, and it's always easier for me for somebody to say this about you rather than about themselves. But Anthony, your resume is almost a little too full. So I'm wondering if you were cloned or you had a twin brother, and then you bumped him off, or he went into a coma and he did half the things and you did half the things,
Right.
right? Because you have a large professional career. Um, you you're in the military, right? You're in the Navy.
Well, that's yeah.
Run your own businesses. You've done the whole community leadership, thing, especially in the not for profit segment. The number of nonprofits that you and I have done are doing so much work on. Uh, for those of you watching, I mean,
Yeah.
Anthony blows it up, right? People I've been working with for 2 or 3 years, they wish they had Anthony's speed and database because it's kind of insane. Whereas other people are one at a timing it, he's got his database on machine gun setting and it's on full auto, and so that's a cool thing. How do you marry all of that together? How does that vast professional history, right? How does that serve you when you're working with all these companies and this vast company base you talk to and you interact with?
When I moved back to Chicago and I was getting into speaking and coaching and working with schools and nonprofits, I got invited to a junior achievement luncheon. Okay, and I'm going to shut this blind real quick. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um,
I'm going to wait here.
okay, and I got invited to a luncheon, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, all the heavy hitters are there, right? I'm not a big networking person. I don't like going out to after hours and stuff like that. I'd rather get involved with something that I'm passionate about, because you will find those decision makers, those centers of influence, they're there, not somebody representing them. They're there. And
I'm crying minorly foul on that because I've seen you at events and you talk and you're very free about it. And you're warm without being pushy. It's not like you're coming up and would you like to talk about your extended car warranty? And
But that kind of helped me identify, and really it goes back to influence and credibility, right? When you show up and you're somebody. We started the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce with 3 other partners. We all put $50 in and started a bank account, and they said, well, you brought us here, you run it. I only started it because there was a void in the community. The other one went away, and I believed that there's a need for it. And we started, and I ran it for a couple of years, and we did some great things. I don't think we accomplished all the things I wanted, but you know what? That's part of it. But from that, I built relationships at the state level. I got put on state boards. Why? Influence, character, accountability, follow through, right? I got put on boards here locally, urban renewal, twice. Why? My character, influence, accountability, right? There's a theme. We started a handful of businesses. There was a time I had 4 different businesses that I was running and operating all at the same time, where people are like, wait. Like, I got one, right? We had a staffing company that was doing like over $1 million just off food and beverage for hotels, handling 30, 45 employees, making sure they get to where they need, and training them and everything.
Wow.
Then we started the cleaning company. That was doing about $57,000, $60,000 a month. Started with a vacuum and a favor. All my accounts, not because of my SEO and my marketing and all that. We had all that. But it was because I was like, hey, question, who cleans your building? Actually, we're not too happy with it. And we know you,
Ooh.
and we know you would do a good job. Okay, could you put in a bid? So
For
my
those of
point,
you that are sitting there watching this, I'm in Georgia, and Anthony and I have seen more hurricanes and more
yeah, I
damaged
haven't
lives
had a problem.
than you can imagine. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anthony. So
Yeah, no. So I mean,
a vacuum and a favor is the weirdest
yeah,
statement.
it was
It
it was
started
a
with a vacuum and a favor.
it was
I
a
mean,
board member. I'm like, hey, we're starting a cleaning company, and she had a funeral home. She's like, hey, you want to come and do ours? $1,500 a month. Okay, right. So, but the point is, and my son was, in middle school at the time in sports, and I was married and all that. So, I like doing those things, but it was all motivated to solve a problem.
right,
Doing
right,
somebody work, offering a service that a business or a hotel needed at the time. You know, Cleaning a building, doing community work. It was all in alignment to win, win, win. Using my influence to make the place a better place. Giving insight, sometimes challenging. There's been many times if you've sat on a board, you don't agree on everything. There's been many times where, right?
right.
But you know what? I gave a talk one time and someone was like, I was going to say that, but I didn't want to be that guy. And I go, well, what do you mean by that? Well, I didn't want to. I go, you know what? Sometimes you got to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with society. We can say whatever we want on social media and everything, right? But sometimes there comes a point where you need to call someone out. You need to hold them accountable. You're being a jerk. That's unprofessional. That's not kind. There's a new campaign about getting rid of hate, right? I mean, the idea that, I didn't want to. Well, that's why we have these problems, because nobody wants to hold anyone accountable.
Right, right.
So,
Well, I'm about to see you in a short period of time
yes.
because we're going to be at another event. And I hope we can go grab some lunch. And when Anthony says, for those of you out in La La Land, that he's not a networker, he's not a shyster about it. He's not coming up to you in a polyester plaid reversible jacket, wanting to sell you a timeshare. But he could because he comes up to you and it's insidious. This is what it is. Is for some reason you're chatting with him for 30 seconds and you're pretty sure you've been hanging out with this guy for the last 2 years and you just haven't seen him in a couple of weeks. That is Anthony's.
I like to network.
That's his superpower.
I like to network in a way that if I can meet you and I can I know what you're about and I know 3 or 4 people that I need to connect you with. Hey, I want to introduce you to because. And that's what I've been doing with you, right, Will? Because it makes sense.
Easy peasy.
Let's get in front of this El Pamar. Let's get in front of this person. Let's get in front, because it makes sense. But the only way we even get these meetings is if the person that's introducing has credibility. They have influence, right? These people are very busy to stop and that's the question to your viewers, right? On a scale of 1 to 5, what's your level of influence? And I don't mean I'm an influencer in social media. I got 50,000 people. Bullshit. That's not what I'm talking about. Like in real life, how are you impacting people eyeball to eyeball? When you meet somebody, what doors can you open for somebody? And without asking something for yourself, right? That's going back to the servant leadership. Hey, I see someone and I go, you know what? I know 3 people I need to connect you with. And
I like to say, how can I be a blessing to you?
Right, exactly. Right? How can I help you? How can I be of value to you? What problem do you have that I could solve right now? What do you need? Right? So
Anthony, now when we get off here, you have to make sure to have in my inbox, right, a link to the book, because nobody wants to be the tree in that picture, but we know that storm is coming, buddy. Right? And as I like to say, bad news can still be good intel. I tell my team, I tell my staff, and sometimes the newbies don't get that.
I
And
like that.
yeah, I say it all the time. I said, listen, if you live in this little village and you're like an enemy that's 5 times larger than us is coming over that hill in 24 hours to stomp us all into the ground and wipe us out, that's terrible information, but it's great intel, right? It's terrible news and bad intel if you are living in that little village and then the enemy that dwarfs you comes over that hill and you find out about it right when they're there, right? Bad news can be good intel. If we're prepared for the storm, we can probably weather the storm. And there's always a storm in the future, right? But there's also peace in the future. I've appreciated this time per usual, as I always do. I'll see you. I'm going to see you next week, and we can hang out and we can have some lunch. Other than that, thank you so much for being on the show, Anthony Perez, Mr. Fashionable, Anthony himself. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate it. Thank you. You're a gentleman and a scholar. You have a great weekend.
I'm something.
Hey, we all want to scale our business. Hey, I have the answer for you today to help you do that. If you're looking to scale from 5, 6, even 7 figures and beyond, book called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. I'm going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is type in growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and you can download the book for absolutely free. I hope the book helps you this year. Take your business to the next level. Again, go grab the book, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. I wish you the best and grow, scale, and win.
That wraps up today's episode of The Wizard of Gods. We hope you've enjoyed the insights and ideas shared in today's conversation. Now, if you found value in this episode, don't forget to subscribe and tell us how we're doing. Your feedback helps us bring you more content that matters. And of course, stay connected with us for updates, tips, and more. Until next time, keep giving, take care, and keep making an impact.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear God.